These Pokemon stories will make you cry. No, literally, they made me cry. Now, the first one of these extremely sad incidents takes place in Anistar City in Pokemon X and Y. Yeah, the city with a giant sundial and the Psychic-type gym. It seems like almost a peaceful, boring place at first glance. But tucked away at the side of the road is this interesting little house with an NPC that you might not even find unless you're exploring the city. The NPC is a little old man, and if you talk to him, he drops this heartbreaking bombshell.
With my wife gone, my life has become very lonely. Would you be so kind to lend me one of your Pokemon to keep me company? I hate to be picky, but I love to take care of a Pokemon that's level 5 or under.
Now, almost immediately from listening to this man's words, you can identify that this is not the usual NPC dialogue. It feels deeply personal, more like a story, and not something you would expect in a Pokemon game. However, if you do decide to listen to his request and help him out, and you give him one of your Pokemon, his gratitude is overwhelming. He beams with happiness and says,
"You've made an old man smile. Which Pokemon will you lend me? Truly? You'll lend me this Pokemon? Wow, so you're an Eevee, huh? I hope you don't get bored keeping company with an old man like me."
Now, you might already be considering the story a little bit sad because the old man is here alone without any Pokemon and you just had to help him out, but this is where things take a turn for the worse. What you now need to do is wait 24 hours. You can progress through the game, you can do pretty much anything, but once you're done, you're going to want to come back to this house. It's pretty interesting that it only takes 24 hours because from the way the man was talking, it sounded like he had weeks to live. But unfortunately, the truth hits a little too hard. And if you walk into the house now, you're going to find a letter that says this.
"Dear Kalem, thank you for the kindness you and your Eevee showed me. I was able to keep smiling until the very end. I apologize, I can't look after Eevee anymore, but I know you'll take care of it. Finally, please take this Comet Shard as a token of my thanks."
So yeah, the old man basically just died. He returned the Eevee, he gave you an extremely valuable item, and made us all cry. But the storyline raises so many questions. Like, why did he give us a Comet Shard at the end? Does that represent his life? Maybe it's like a metaphor, comets streak across the sky before they burn up. And speaking of the Comet Shard he gives you, it's an extremely rare item. There's only 1 or 2 Comet Shards that can be found in all of Pokemon X and Y. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you can sell it at the Pokemon Center for around 60,000 Pokédollars. In fact, this was the type of thing that he should have left behind to his children or his grandchildren or someone related to him, but the fact that he gave it to us makes it even sadder because now it kind of shows you that he really has no immediate family. That's why he needed the Pokemon, because he was so lonely, and now he's given you his last valuable item. Now, while that was an interesting but extremely sad moment in Pokemon, there have been entire side missions that Game Freak has developed simply for the reason of making you cry. And this next one is a perfect example. So, in Pokemon Sword and Shield, if you progress through the game, there's a side quest that begins once you reach the city of Hammerlock, a city that reminds you of a castle. And as you're walking through one of the areas of the town, you see a little girl named Paula. And if you talk to her, she hesitates for a minute, but she makes a really heartfelt request.
"Hello there. You look like someone I might trust. You see, there's someone I fancy and I've written him a love letter. Do you think you might deliver it for me? My name is Paula. Here you are. This is the letter I want you to deliver. Deliver it to Frank for me, won't you? Frank in Ballanlia. That's who you want."
Now technically you can refuse to help her, but let's say you're the average player and you take her up on her request. Now what you need to do is travel to this town called Ballanlia. It's a small kind of glowing town with magical mushrooms and an almost enchanted forest kind of vibe. As you walk through the town, you're going to find a house that looks like this, and if you walk in, you're going to find an elderly man. Now I know you were expecting Frank to be a young boy, but this man appears to be in his 60s and 70s, and he seems a bit surprised when you talk to him for the first time and give him the letter.
"You're looking for Frank? Yes, that'd be me. What's this? Oh, you've got a letter addressed to me. Now, who could be sending me letters? Oh, why, it says it's from Paula. That does take me back ages. Paula was the name of a girl I spent all my time playing with as a young lad. She fell ill. Didn't tell me, though. She kept it a secret just how sick she was. We ended up having a great row about it. Then I moved away not long after that fight. I never met her again after the day I left. How was she? Did she look well? Oh, dear old Paula.
It's then that the heartbreaking realization hits. Paula wasn't alive when you met her. She was a ghost lingering in the world just long enough to tie up the loose ends of her past. Frank's story confirms that her illness likely claimed her life not too long after he moved away, meaning that she never had the chance to express her true feelings to him. The letter you delivered wasn't just a task, it was Paula's final wish, and it was her way of finding closure for something that she carried even in the afterlife. The whole scenario is just extremely bittersweet and makes you feel really sad, and it's something that you don't really see in Pokemon games. It's not about battles or rewards, it's about a moment of humanity, a ghost finally being able to pass on because they completed the one thing they wanted to in their lives. And the story doesn't stop there, by the way. If you return to the spot that Paula was at Hammerlock, you will find an item called a Reaper Cloth. This item allows Dusclops to evolve into Dusknoir, and in general, it's just connected with ghost-type Pokemon. But if you think about it, there's some interesting symbolism that happens here. Like, this ghost cloth kind of represents Paula's transition from a lingering spirit to peace in the afterlife. It truly shows you that despite the fact that Pokemon is a kids game and the main audience is kids, they can have mature moments like this. Themes of unrequited love and death and unfulfilled connection. These are not themes that kids are meant to understand or even have experience with. And the fact that they chose this quest and these two characters to dive into those themes just makes this side quest that much more special. So at this point, we've covered two of literally the most saddest side quests in Pokemon. So I wanted to show you guys a smaller moment. A moment that, even though it's only one line of dialogue, it has the ability to make you feel emotional. Now this incident takes place in Driftveil City in Pokemon Black and White 2. It's the kind of city that feels alive, it's busy, full of trainers, and has one of the more memorable gyms in the series. But you're gonna need to take a break from all that and enter this specific hotel. Now, you head into the hotel expecting the usual chatty NPCs, cheerful music, and maybe a free item or two. But if you're curious enough to explore all the floors, you'll eventually take the elevator to the top floor and find this elderly man sitting alone. It's always the old people. And when you talk to him, your heart just breaks for him.
3 years ago, Team Plasma talked me into letting my dear Pokemon go. Ever since, I've been staying in hotels as I please. To be honest, I feel lonely. But it's a good thing not to have Pokemon who will be left behind and feel sad after I pass away.
It's a line that hits hard. Team Plasma's rhetoric about freeing Pokemon sounded noble on the surface, liberating Pokemon, giving them freedom, and ending human control over their lives. But for this man, he basically just got his Pokemon stolen. And he was kind of tricked by all their speeches and persuasive words. But it brought him nothing in the end. Without his Pokemon, he's lonely, he's old, and he's going to die soon. And the man is filled with nothing but regrets and loneliness. He's just moving from one hotel to the next, avoiding any permanent ties and trying to convince himself that this way of life is better. But I can't help wonder about the deeper implications of the story. Did he ever think about trying to find his Pokemon again? And did the shame and guilt keep him from trying that? Is he maybe scared of Team Plasma or what they'll do? And just psychologically speaking, his constant movement from hotel to hotel kinda suggests he's running from something. Perhaps the memories of that bond he had with his Pokemon, or the fear of growing attached to one place. I mean, this guy's going through a crisis here. And the most heartbreaking part, there's no resolution to this story. No reunion, no hope, no reward for even listening to his 2 cents. He's just an old man who made a choice, messed up, and it cost him everything. Now, these very sad moments in Pokemon didn't have to be there. They were added on purpose. And I believe that purpose is to make the game feel more raw and real, showing the consequences of people's actions, showing failed love and people's deaths, and even giving you the ability to help an old man on his last dying day. That's what makes the game so powerful, but not everyone gets a happy ending. Anyway, if you liked the video, please be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Thank you, I'll catch you next time.